G'day, g'day. Simon here. Or maybe we could call it Captain Australia Unplugged. I don't know. There's actually a storm rolling in, some high winds, and I am completely relaxed about it because although for the past week I've had to be a bit concerned about the weather, today I don't, thanks to just simple human kindness. So I'm in a hotel room, all the amenities I could need. In the past few days, those amenities have been, the ones of greatest concern have been water and staying dry. And here I've got myself some wontons and some soup, which I will not freak you out by eating in front of you. Kat says, very blessed, Captain. Absolutely. Now, some people have asked, sorry, I'll give a quick recap. I'll explain what's happened to date, what next, and I'll try and stop my old man rambles, yeah? But I just wanted to recognize, because with this whole question of sleeping rough, some people have asked why. Because these are all self-imposed limitations, you know? The big walk, I conceived of it. It's from in here, good, bad, or indifferent. And sorry, we've got a quick comment. Hey, legend. Hope you've been well. Yeah, I'm okay. Some damage to my feet, but I'm doing fine. Thank you. So yeah, I've got these ideas about how I could execute on it. And some of it is, I don't know, self-punishment, I suppose. What am I punishing myself for? Survival? I don't know. But here's the thing. When I had my hot shower just before, after a week of sleeping rough, after long walks, soggy, rainy, when I got into that hot shower, the joy of it, you know, the sensory joy of it. I was moaning, you know, and I'm in a hotel in Ballina, so I don't know if that's common or uncommon behavior here, but it was joy, it was bliss, and I think that perhaps explains why. So why sleeping rough? Because I think it will give me, it'll allow me that meditation, that spiritual exploration that I'm looking for. It'll bring me back to the natural world, being out in the elements of it. And thank you, Simon, for your comment. But also, it will give me a contrast into my life that I can apply going forward, like a reminder of all of the things that are precious. It's like why I've been grieving so much for the time away from my children. It's just me reconciling absolutely that they are and always will be a fundamental corner of my life. It's not great that they were my only reason that I was staying alive after cancer, but it's great that I had a reason in them. And at the end of the day, what's important, you know, by stripping everything back to that basic, the elements and all of the rest, it gives me time to reflect, and it's a pilgrimage, and that was part of the design of it. But it's also that contrast that when you have that sort of element of suffering, that element of difficulty, and then you come through it, you have that hot shower after the storm. Oh, the bliss of it. You know what I mean? So I've been on pretty tight rations. I'm continuing to lose weight. I'll need to, the next stretch, I'll talk about what next, but I'll need to carry some food and water into the next stretch, and I need to figure out if I'm going down the coastline or inland, but I'll close with that stuff. So I'm carbo loading now with mo and on soup and all the rest. But yeah, okay, the big walk. We'll do a quick recap, and then I'll talk to you about what next, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat if you like. So, the recap. Okay, firstly, the basics of it. My name is Simon. In the past, I did dress up as Captain Australia, like more than 10 years ago. At the time, I don't know, it's not unlike the big walk in that I did want to kind of say something. I wanted to sort of, I was in corporate life, I was not yet a father, but I felt the world was darkening, and I wanted to kind of inject a bit of, hey, we can be heroes into that, you know what I mean? Like, but it was giggles, you know? And I think people people thought that I thought that I was Batman. Never did. Never did. Violence appalls me, disgusts me. I've had times in my life where I've been exposed to violence. I've had to be violent to protect myself. And it always made me feel sick. And seeing violence inflicted by others, or on an animal, or in any context, appalls me. We should be above that. So Batman should be above that. You know, what's the best superhero that I could imagine? Consensus building, man. Stop that dude, man. You know? So violence. So people interpret it as a crime fighting thing, and it's not what it was. And it sort of ran away down that path, and I just quietly let it die when I had my kids, and then my second son had some problems, so just let it fizzle. But he came back to save my life when I got my cancer. So my name's Simon, and I'm a stage 4 cancer survivor. I had a head and neck cancer. It was 6 months to live prognosis, but I had a 40 to 60% chance of chemoradiation, and I just couldn't bounce back after treatment. I tried hard. And it was all for my kids, really, my wife. But the love that I keep saying my kids, and I don't include Jen, who I adore her. She's wonderful. But the kids are my responsibility, you know? Like, Jen's more powerful than I am by a magnitude of 3, probably. So she you know, she could handle life without me. But at the end of the day, those children, I hold a solemn sort of obligation to them, you know, to be their father. And I couldn't handle the idea of subjecting them to the grief of losing that. So anyway, the cancer fight, tried to get over it, couldn't get over it. Remembered a big walk I took as a child, decided I needed to take another big walk. And that's where it started. And then I realised if I were going to take a bloody big walk, I could superhero up for science and do it for the charity, which is the Kids Cancer Project. So what's the Kids Cancer Project about? 950 Aussie children diagnosed every year. Okay, 20% of them don't survive treatment. The 80% that do suffer chronic health problems. And that suffering extends to their family. The grief that I had to deal with, the fear of, you know, continued threat of cancer, they have to reconcile that into their family lives and find ways to be strong. And it's a mess. No child should have to endure what I did. So the 3 children that die every week, that's a good solid part of why I'm walking. How old are your kids? Asks someone Amy Knight. I'm sorry, no glasses, I need to pick up a pair. My children, so when I was diagnosed, my youngest son was 3. He had just started mini kindy, and before I left, I was looking at some videos of them when they were younger, and there's one of my little dude, 3 years old. We got him into a mini kindy program at 3, which is quite young, but it's wonderful, and all the activities, the painting and all of that stuff, great stuff. And I had him in the car seat in the back of the car, and I was filming him, and I looked over and I said, "Hey, where are we going today?" And he goes, "I'm a kindy boy, hooray!" Just like that. And I tear up now remembering it, because he's just so full of joy and sweet, and they're lovely boys. So he was 3, but right now he's 9. Middle boy's 10 turning 11, and the oldest is 12 turning 13 very soon. So, well, not soon, April. I'm going to miss my middle son's birthday. That's in February. So, yeah, well, I won't miss it. I'll attend remotely. And I think some of us have had to get used to stuff like that, but I've been huddled away with my family, so I've been spoiled. But yeah, the cancer, I couldn't bounce back. Big walk. Kids Cancer Project, that's where it all started from. And now I'm finding this other dimension that, you know, we're sharing something. You know, talking about things that we can do to build hope. Because that's my goal. It started with hope, just a tiny spark of it. So I had none in my life. I was staying alive for my children. I was desperate to stay alive for my children. But I didn't have any particular concrete set of goals for myself aside from survival. So I was just like a bit of a walking ghost, to be honest. And then I remembered the big walk as a child, and it just was that muscle memory of hope. Just that tiny little piece of hope. And I thought, maybe I could do something. Maybe positive change is available to me. You know, maybe I don't have to let cancer define me. You know, maybe I can move past it, let it go. And I just breathed life into that. I started walking every night, more and more and more. You're an amazing human being for what you're doing. Well, thank you. I'm pretty awkward with compliments, and you can teach an old dog new tricks though. I can scroll back in the comments, and I have learned to just say thank you very much for your kindness. So, yeah, the idea that you can have constructive, positive change in your life if you put in the work. That sounds really simple, but a lot of people, we have these generational cycles of suffering and pain. And, I come from trauma, and my job is just to arrest that generational cycle so it doesn't touch my own children. But, yeah, as human beings, we do things out of habit, I think, and suffering is a thing that we can do out of habit. So having hope to concretely believe that you can change your own destiny, I think, is a large part of what the Big Walk is about. And it's personal to me, but in doing it, I show you, because my life was broken. And stage 4 just the cancer itself, that's not a joke. But for me, for my particular, the way that I'm built and wired, the suffering inflicted and the cage that was surrounding me was profound, and you would think inescapable, just like an addiction, just like there's a lot of comparable problems that they can feel so absolute that you can't move past them. But in then rebuilding a broken life, it really amplifies my healing and my hope when I see that by providing that as an example, that's something that other people are benefiting from. So if you're one of those people and you see this old buffet walking across the countryside, hey, that reminds me, travel all over the countryside, ask the Leylands, travel all over the countryside, ask the Leyland brothers. Do you remember that one? No. I'm older than God. You people are all probably like 30, so you wouldn't remember the Leyland brothers. But yeah, they were iconic. Yeah, they were a TV show before reality shows. They were an Australian travel and reality show. So yeah. Anyway, the Big Walk started the first week. We're now into the second week, and I'm getting from Ballina to Coffs Harbour. So it's love that show. Good on you here. So it's a trek. So let me I'm all juiced up, but I've got the power bank charging and not the phone. Sorry for this. Just bear with me a second, and I'll plug the phone in. Now, before I leave Ballina, sorry, one sec. Thank you, by the way, to there's a company, SOS Phone Repairs in Ballina, and the lovely Joe, who helped me get my phone fixed up. But we'll get to that. I'll talk about the Big Walk so far, finish the recap. So one weekend, the first couple of days, the first week, I've been just getting my head straight. So there have been some just lovely moments where, I've seen the rays of light through the clouds over the ocean at 5 a.m, and I've just realized in a profound way that I'm alive. That sounds stupid too, doesn't it? But yes, you are alive, you buffhead. But, when you're a ghost, anyway. And sometimes in those moments I would cry, weep, even sob, even. And I think what was happening was a letting go of grief, fear, pain, things that I'd been carrying from the fight with cancer that had just been tucked away in little parts of me that I couldn't acknowledge, couldn't face head on. And it's kind of our Aussie way a little bit. Yeah, I'm all right. But it wasn't so much that. Like I just didn't want. I hid my cancer to an extent. I didn't want my children to know about it until I knew I was going to survive, and if I wasn't, I don't know, I just wanted to spend every single moment of every single day with them and find a strategy to, I guess, inoculate them to the grief of it. So yeah, those memories, I think I've been releasing a lot of that, some of the pain that still lingered from that. And then I get to replace it with something new. I get to rebuild. So that's a large part of what I'm doing. And in these first days, I have achieved some of that, but I've also just gotten a little bit bent out of shape about how far I get on every day and how soon I'll get back to seeing my kids. And I've had my little Suki moment where and it's all self-inflicted. I'm so stupid, but I just I couldn't get that little chunk of pain out of my mind that I can't hug my child right now because I've never been apart from them this long before. So yeah, the first day out of Brisbane, bang, I didn't get out of Brisbane. I got to Eagleby, slept in a bit of yucky little scrub surrounded by mosquitoes. First got to test my hammock, and yeah, it was okay. I was right near the side of a road, cars going back and forth, um, and yeah, got like 4 hours sleep, packed up, hit the road again, toddled for the border. Didn't get to the border second day either. Second day, I found myself camped out in the Gold Coast. Met some lovely people on my walk through. So, you know, Murray and Donna, I don't know if you saw that. Murray gave me his mother's blanket. He'd lost her to cancer. For me, that was an adorable moment. And I'm so happy that I got to share it with you and that I'm getting a little bit better at least at asking people when I have these moments to share them. Unfortunately, some of them just, for whatever reason, I've failed to capture. But yeah, so I slept in the scrub, sort of at the southern part of Broad Beach. You know, they have like Miami, I think, and a few areas there, tucked into some scrub. I think there were other people around. And yeah, packed up, hit the road again, head for the border. Got to Tweed Heads, yay! Said some pronouncements. I think I claimed this land of New South Wales as my own as I crossed the border. Tweed Heads was a bit on the border. There are areas in cities that I've passed through where I have seen like it's visceral you, change that I hadn't. You know, I've been in a cancer cave for 5 years, but like an increase in there's a sense of danger, criminality. There's more homeless. Uh, their business have been closed. Livelihoods have been lost. So I passed through Tweed Heads was my first like eye opener with that because it's changed a lot and met some lovely people. And uniformly, I hung out there at Tweed Heads with a group of homeless, and they were all sort of really angry, but not at me. So we had a chat and a lot of back and forth. But before moving on, had a nice chat. And individually, all of the people are wonderful, but collectively, there's a sense of you know real problems in some of these communities. But yeah, through Tweed Heads down, there's a lot of little beach towns on the way down. Uh, so where did I sleep? Yeah, southern Tweed Heads. I slept that night, and that was probably my worst camp today. Oh, I didn't mention so the reason Murray came and brought me his mother's blanket is that sleep that I had sort of past dream. Well, I had this tarp solution to cover my hammock, yeah, but idiot that I am, I chose it for its style, not its utility. So I got it matching the colour of those little Captain Australia kangaroos. Don't know why, because you'd want it to be a bit of a discreet colour so you can sleep rough. It's really stupid. But the only thing that I could find that matched the colour was actually a party tablecloth. I thought, oh yeah, that's waterproof. That'll do. But it got all scratched up. So on the first night that a serious storm struck, I got wet. I retreated into like a little smoko shed out back of an industrial area, repitched the hammock there and saw the night out. Um, I've been getting progressively better sleep, even in uncomfortable conditions, and cancer stole my sleep from me. So I think that's a tangible physical benefit of this process I'm going through as well. I think tonight when I go to bed, after this I'm gonna FaceTime my family. Got some Wi-Fi here. That's gonna be a joy, and then I think I'll sleep a good solid 10 hour, and that's gonna be another joy. So it's funny that suffering can unlock these little islands of joy. But yeah, after that, down to what was it, Potts Point. Slept slept off the beach. Continued, got eventually to Byron Bay. Had another camp along the beach before I did. Byron Bay, I just hit a laundromat. Byron has changed so much. I used to go there after my big walk when I was 15. I'd pass through the town and sort of fell in love with it. It was just this little beach town, really, really nice place, a lot of cool people around. And so I'd go back, I'd hop on the train every so often. Uh, when I was just a kid too, but I was highly independent. So before my grandmother died, when I was probably 18 when she died, between 15 and 18, I went back there 3 or 4 times and just camped. But yeah, it's changed so much. I met a couple of really kind people. Like there were these blokes walking down the road who had seen me on the telly, and I'm sitting there like this old hobo, just sort of quietly. I wasn't quite crying, you know. My feet were all messed up, my boots were all wet, and I was just thinking about my kids. And yeah, they were so lovely to me and very kind. But yeah, the Byron itself, there are lots of shut down businesses, but then lots of really high levels of high intensity activity too. And then yeah, continued on towards Ballina. But after Byron, I took the road less traveled, like this long country road, off to the sort of southeast, up past some sort of mansions. Had a little adventure climbing a paddock fence because a road like it was going uphill and then V back. So I realized I could cut across here and save myself about 6K, but it meant cutting across a cattle farm. So I decided to. And g'day mate, how you traveling, Daniel? I'm doing really well, thank you. Um, so yeah, I decided to shortcut across, and that meant vaulting over a fence, climbing quite a steep, like more than 45-degree hill, dodging cow shit, and getting to the other end and climbing over a barbed wire fence again. And for me, it was a Huck Finn level adventure, but it was also a stark contrast to where I was a year ago. That dude could not vault over any fences or probably solve any problem more significant than, what are we going to have for lunch today? So it was a delightful morning afternoon rather, sorry, despite the physical toil. And I found a camping spot. Pardon me, I get dry mouth. I've got some yummy mango, banana, and apple juice. And sorry, I'll more actively have a little chat about comments and stuff once I finish the little recap. Now I found a camping spot, but it was there was no reception, and I hadn't called my wife yet. I was so tired, so tired, but it was a secure spot amongst some pine trees, tucked away, real discreet, and I was so desperate to just pitch camp and sleep. But then when I had started, I noticed that I had no reception. I had tried to do some spotty streams up there as well. Nothing was working. And well, this speaks to my love for my wife because I couldn't abide the idea that she would be stressed out not knowing. So I packed up and moved forward. I didn't know how far I'd have to go before I got reception. But then I came across this a little primary school, little tiny little place. I reckon they have maybe 20 students in all. Might be a bit more than that, 50. But it was, and I was really respectful. I didn't leave a mess or anything, but there was a discreet little corner in there where I could tuck away in shelter. And the real boon was there was a little power outlet that I was able to leach a bit of juice as well. So I've really sort of plugged into the idea of the difficulties of being indigent, you know. So yeah, I was able to sleep there, and then today pushed down here into Ballina, which it was more rain, and the soggy boots. So I do need, and here I am. And sorry, I met Joe. So I got down into Ballina, and just outside the city, I was just sitting on a welcome to Ballina sign, and I was just sort of, and my main goal was to get into a phone repair shop. I didn't even realize it was Sunday. I didn't, it's what is it, the second of January too. So a lot of places would be shut for New Year. All of that stuff. It appeared according to Google that it was open, and I couldn't make calls or anything because of the cracked screen. It was just wrecked. So I'm sitting there, and this lady comes and just jumps up next to me, and she's, "Yeah, I want a kombucha," and I'm like, "Yes, please, thank you very much." So she had one cans. I didn't know they came in cans, and yeah, just shared stories. Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And I I think in that exchange we became mates, yeah, of a sort, quite quickly. Like I think saw the integrity, and she just showed me tremendous kindness. So she gave me a lot of advice. Said she called the phone shop for me and confirmed, yep, they're open. They're open until 3. It was 1 o'clock, so I got a couple of hours to get there. It's 5K. My feet are wrecked, but I can do it. So I'm great. Thank you so much. Is there anything else I can do to help you? Can I drive you there? No, I can't get in a vehicle. Sorry. Uh, I hesitate to ask, but if you're going in that direction anyway, and I gave you my phone and some money, would you be able to go in and put the phone in for me? She's like, no worries, buddy, I'm on it. So she rang them up. They said they could do the job. Good on them. And they did a wonderful job. And she took it in for me. I was able to pay when I got there. But I think she or the store themselves um, bought a protective case. So it was 120 to repair the screen, and but either the case came with it, or they gifted it, or Joe bought it. I'm not actually 100% sure which, but it's got this wonderful case now, and I can clip it to my chest and spin it around, and it's going to be really really useful. And when I got there, I saw Joe again, and she'd arranged this motel room for me. So the sleeping rough thing, it's the basic of what I'm doing, but it's kind of the idea is like an old knight, kill the dragon. Oh yes, and oh you can stay here, Sir Knight. So a knight hospitalier, I think they were called, or a knight templar. You can receive hospitality. So if I'm able to haggle with a farmer to pitch a hammock in his property, or if somebody says, Captain Australia, you look tired. Would you like to, come in and have a bite to eat? And look, you can sleep in our shed or whatever. I'm allowed to say yes. And the idea is you never discourage kindness anyway. It's been my habit in my life when receiving kindness to say no uniformly in a polite way, but no, thank you. I'm okay. I don't need help. I'm okay. Thank you. But I've realized now that when in saying yes, I'm giving something back in a way to both of us as well. So Joe said, you looked like you just needed a good day. And she gave that to me. And now for the rest of my life, and Joe, if you're watching this, it's 100% sincere, mate. You take it to the bank. I owe you a good day. So if you're having a bad one at any point, you got my number, you call. Anyway, the tremendous kindness, and it's hugely nourishing. And here I am. So what next? I'll take a quick look at comments and then I'll tell you what next. Yeah. So we've got John Parker says it will be great if you get more regularly recognized as you travel. It will all we will all get to see the kindness of see more, many good people. Yeah, it's great to be able to learn that acceptance of health. Yeah, the acceptance of help thing is, yeah, for me, it's a recognition of something that I've always resisted. It's that we're all just one big glorious tribe, you know, that we are, connected, that we can look after each other, and that's a good and positive thing. Anyway, um, so I'm here in comfort and I have food and I'm loading up on food. So I'm not hungry, but I'm having a really big meal because I think the next leg to Coffs Harbour is going to be
one where I won't have surety of access to food and water. It seems like I'm going to go through a lot of little country towns where there may not be much there. There's been mention, I published the map. It takes me inland. There's not a lot of walking options that I could see. The route takes me inland, and some people have suggested that you take the coastal route. So I need to figure out whether that's viable. So tomorrow I will continue either taking the route that I've put up on Facebook, going inland and down to through Grafton and down into Coffs Harbour, or I'll adapt that route and continue down the beach if I can get a confirm from someone that that's viable to do. Since I've got this motel room, I've realised that I was going to just set off at like 5 in the morning, but I'm going to take a bit of time here tomorrow as well. Shower up, iron my clothes, and do that sort of domestic stuff. But while I got a secure place where I can leave my heavy bag, and it is like 18K or something, it does weigh on you after a while. I don't think there's anything I can do away with unless it's my big mag light torch. Maybe I could get rid of that. But yeah, I can leave the bag here, and there's a few things that I've lost along the way. One of them precious, a little bracelet that my wife made for me. Sadly, that's gone. But I keep losing things. Today I lost my COVID mask, but I have a backup. Um, I've lost the charging cable, so I need to get a backup charging cable. That's kind of essential. If my cable shits itself, I won't have any way to stay in touch. And all the power and solar charging solutions are not much good if I can't move that power into my phone. So right now I've got like this three-prong magic setup, but there's no backup. So I need to pick up a backup. And I need to pick up probably a pair of sandals as well. Sunglasses, I think my Captain Australia mask looks pretty cool if I've got little sunglasses on there. Um, yeah, and that should do it. Maybe some new socks. So I might wander down to the local shops and do a bit of shopping before I move on closer to 8 or 9. And then it's 220k-ish to Coffs Harbour, which is getting closer to the midway point to Sydney. And I do need to figure out whether the coastal route, whether it's viable, whether I won't be stopped by a waterway, or is there a continuous old coastal road down there or something, or whether I take the route that I've listed. And if there's anybody out there who's seeing this who has insight into that, I'd be really grateful for your help. Like if you could drop a comment, maybe ideally on the post where I have my map. So that should be the next post before this one. So if you have advice about routes that I could take, I'd really appreciate it if you could jump onto that post and make suggestions for me. So yeah, tomorrow I'll do a bit of shopping, and then I'll have, depending on the pace that I make, I'd say 5. It could be anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 days, um, legging it down to Coffs Harbour, depending on if my pace is incredible, good, okay, or low. And I'm not going to stress out too much, but I will then set a daily minimum of 30 kilometers per hour. And if we don't have wet weather and my feet stay dry and can heal up a little bit, I am finding that I like when I went from here to when I came here to Ballina, I think I was doing about 5k an hour in the morning, so I was able to do a reasonably decent march with the pack on. So I think if I manage the exercise physiology of it intelligently, I can do like 10k spurt and have a nice rest and look around and smell the coffee, which is a lot smarter than the slow walking that I've been doing. Because if you travel 10k over 4 hours, you just have more fatigue, blisters, and all of that stuff. But if you do it in a spurt and then rest, much better. So comments then. We've got Caitlin says, hope the shower was great. Yes, look after your feet. Get your new good socks. I've got some sealskin socks that are supposed to protect against the weather, but they're not that fabulous, to be honest. So someone suggested synthetic fabric socks and just get a bunch of them, and they're not very heavy, so I probably will. That way I can change them out as soon as my feet get a bit soggy. But that said, they are toughening up. I could show you, but they're kind of gross. So I've got some pretty big blisters at this point, but they're hardening. They'll turn into calluses, and I think I'm healing reasonably fast. We're not talking Deadpool level healing factor level fast, but I think I'm doing okay. Yeah, oh bugger, the army boys get them for field trips. Um, so the army, what do they get for field trips, Caitlin? Um, sorry, and there might have been an earlier comment from you or someone else that. Um, but yeah, the boots that I'm wearing are great. They are great. But, oh, the socks, yeah, yeah. Well, geez, your synthetic socks, somebody said, will do much better to resist the blisters. I couldn't tell you exactly why, but I'll take it on trust and make sure to get a few extra pair of them. You're doing great, Captain. I hope you sleep well, and we're all behind you. I can't tell you honestly, sorry, how humbled and delighted I am by your support. And it's as much the fact that there's this circle we're creating together, you know? So it's not like, oh, you know, you're a champ. I thank you. I like that. But what I like is the thing that I really love about it is the idea that there's value in what I'm doing. So when I had my leg cramps in Logan the first day, so I've had this inflammatory problem after vaccination, and I think now it's completely gone. I'm so happy it is. When I've done my jumping over farm barbed wire fences and stuff like that, I've contorted my legs a lot in a way that would previously trigger cramps, and nothing. They're good, really good. So I think that they said the inflammatory problem could last up to 6 weeks, and it's about 6 weeks now, and I think it's just all gone. So I had little numb spots in my hand. They're wearing off. I couldn't quite curl my finger properly, like it stopped there because of the inflammation after the jab. But now it's all good. So um, yeah, the when I had those cramps though, this dude, big Maori dude, his name was Manu, jumps the fence and starts to help me. His hand was bleeding. He'd been fighting. He was a big, scary dude. We had a long talk. He'd been in and out of prison. So he'd done some dark stuff in his life, and yet to me he was delightful. You know what I mean? And he talked to me about how he wanted to find some sort of serenity in his life, how he felt his life was not in control. He wanted to find God and all of this stuff. But he also asked me about what I want. And for me, the answer was, well, I said to be beautiful, but what I meant was to be of value, you know? So to create things that resonate with worth, that are real, you know? That just, yeah, you know, that like if kindness propagates when we share it, then if mine can touch yours or yours can touch me, then it's something that's just ripples like a stone thrown into a pond. It ripples and it can sort of spread at that society level, you know. So the idea that I could breathe only decency into the world, you know, in my day-to-day life, is basically what my answer was to this guy, you know. And I've not been like that all my life, but I want to be. So that's part of what my pilgrimage is about, figuring myself out. And there's been these little moments where I've had to consider it. And so that's where we're at, where we're going, and what next. So tomorrow, a little bit of shopping in Ballina before I hit the road. And if anybody has an idea, whether from Ballina to Coffs Harbour, you can just go straight down the beach. If anybody has experience on that is fact that I can at least moderately rely on, I'd appreciate it if you could jump onto that post where I've got the map. It's a recent post where I've put pictures of a map which shows where I'm going next. If you could jump on there and comment, we can have a little back and forth. I would be really grateful for any insight there. But absent that, by default, I'm going to take the inland route, and yeah, I'll just be rough, and I may have spotty reception, so I'll do my best to do updates. I did record some videos that I, for some reason, can't upload, like a Happy New Year and stuff like that. Some of that might have to wait until I get home. Uh, in 7 bloody weeks, you old fool. Okay, so comments. What a great adventure, you and all of us who are following you. Hey, John, how you doing, mate? Um, thank you. So we can't believe how far you've traveled. You are my idol. Mental health chats with you on live video was fantastic. Thanks for being so great and helpful, for sharing all these great thoughts and words. And that's from Caitlin. Well, thank you, Caitlin. Yeah, mental health such a funny and important word, really, isn't it? Like, I think, at the end of the day, in my life, I've not ever had much serenity. Like in the castle, that movie Serenity Now. I've always been struggling to figure out who I was and what I wanted from life. And I've never felt free to just open myself up, to just throw it out there and find a teacher or a helper, somebody who we could just bounce ideas off of each other. Yeah, I've had friends and we've used each other to refine our ethics and try and get better, but I've never just opened myself to the point where it's just total and complete disclosure, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. I've always tried to conceal my flaws and put forward my finer points. And I think for mental health, that's a bit of a mistake. It's better to just share. And if you can accept yourself, share who you are, talk about your problems, I think we all are generally kind and want to help each other. I'd love to help you. I love the idea that any of this is indirectly helpful to anybody. It's just another way that it makes what I'm doing worthwhile, because some days with my poor old hamburger feet, and look, it's just week one. So, it's day one of week two, isn't it? So we have another comment. What have we got? Caitlin, neither. I'm too proud. Scared of the scary. I think this is going to be, oh crap. Why do I want to look at my metrics? Facebook, don't tell me about metrics. I'm too proud. Scared of the scary feeling of opening up. I know that feeling. Everything. Thank you for everything. Means a lot to see more. Means a lot to us. Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. It's frightening, because I think we kind of by default believe that people want to exploit us. We conduct our businesses in that way. We conduct a lot of our online dealings in that way. I get scammers calling me all the time trying to steal my identity and get me to fill in forms for parcels that I didn't order. The world can be a predatory place, right? But I'm telling you, everybody that I've met so far, short of a few people calling me an F-head as they drive past in their car, they're uniformly wonderful. And if I didn't open myself up to Joe, for instance, or Murray and Donna and all of these lovely people that I've met along the way. I can't remember her name, but this lady pulled over with her family this morning and gave me wrapped in foil, a little bit of apple cake, and it was delicious. And so those things are happening because I'm opening myself up to the kindness of it, I suppose. If I walked around like a paranoid, none of that would happen. And it's scary though, because we have that default view that people want to exploit us, and in many ways it is a true view. So when we get together as a society to run a business or whatever the context, those goals often supersede our basic humanity. So profit for the shareholders, dominate this market, whatever. We grow every day, thank you. Yeah, we do, individually. I think the challenge is bringing our individual personal ethics to our wider society, and I don't know, because yeah, I mean, government's wrecked. If you ask me, it's more of a shit show than cancer. Um, there's so many structures around us that need repair. But if we moved forward with diligent hope, we could affect some sort of change. I'm doing that personally in my life. Why can't we do it at the social level? But it's weird. Individually, people can be so wonderful, lights, joyful lights, but put us together in a group and we become a little bit paranoid, or our group is strong as long as it dominates the other groups. I don't know. I don't have any answers, and this is going now into the old man ramble territory. But yeah, I like to think that there's this light in us, and I've seen it, and I've seen it today, and I'm grateful to have seen it, and I see it starting to spark up in myself, and I'm grateful for that as well. So yeah, I'm gonna have a lovely sleep tonight. I'm here in glorious comfort. It might not be, a Kim Kardashian level of glorious comfort, but I don't know if she's slept rough in the bush lately. And that's the thing. Suffering contrasts and against joy and amplifies it. And I think there's a lot of things that I'm learning in my big walk, and that's one of them. So a little bit of suffering won't kill you. It'll actually give you a perspective. Anyway, I'm going to gobble down my Chinese. They've given me a couple of prawn crackers here too. Oh yeah. Nom, 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 nom. I'm sorry, that's gross. So I got a comment. Haha, you're so funny. Thanks for letting us come on the journey. Have a lovely time in the motel. I'm looking forward to FaceTiming my family. You got this. Thank you. Sorry I came late. What has happened? Oh, Thelma. I think these get saved into the timeline. So I've given a full report. So I'm in Ballina. I'm in a motel in Ballina. I've received kindness and hospitality. So I sleep rough, but if somebody offers me a place to sleep, I'm allowed to receive kindness, and I have with gratitude. And so, yeah, I've got a safe place to sleep. I think a big storm's coming in, and for the first time in a week, I don't have to really worry too much about that. But I've given a full report, including speculation about which route I should take tomorrow. I need a little bit of advice on that if anybody has any insight. So if you wanna check it out, when I hit finish and save, this should upload into the timeline, and you can watch it. Enjoy peaceful, self-indulgent night in, mate. Enjoy it. Yeah, the feet up, letting the blisters breathe. They'll be pretty solid gold tomorrow, and yeah, I'll pick up the little essentials that I need, like a backup charger. And next time you hear from me, I'll be in I'll let you know. I've got to catch a ferry, I think, out of Ballina, so that's probably the next stream at some point mid-morning tomorrow. I'll get in touch. I'll put it in. I'll use this new clippy phone thingy, and you can first person cross the ferry with me, yeah? So yeah, thank you. And again, if you know anything about whether or not you can get from Ballina to Coffs Harbour via the beach continuously, or secondary roads along the beach continuously without having to go back and forth from the M1, greatly appreciate it. If not, I'm taking this coastal route that I've sent pictures of. All told, it's about 220 kilometers, and that's the next leg of the big walk. So that's what the next week is about. At the end of this week, I hope to be in Coffs Harbour, and I hope to have some adventures between here and there. Thank you so much for your time, and again, I am so grateful for the kindness and support. I can't tell you how much. I don't have the words. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I hope everybody's having so far a better new year. We've got another. Get some tea tree oil. Yes. So I'm doing some shopping. That's actually on the list. I'm doing some shopping before I head out tomorrow. So glasses, selfie sticks, some socks. I will pick up some tea tree oil, and I do have some blister stuff that I'm putting on as well. So I'm giving the feet a little bit of pampering, and I might even have another nice long hot shower. But I'm going to stream to my kids. So, well, not stream, FaceTime, all that stuff. So all the best. Thank you so much for your time. And if you know about that route, the post with the maps, jump in there, drop some comments, and I'd really appreciate some help and guidance there. If not, I'll go the country route by default. All the best. Take care of yourselves. Thanks so much.